I'd love to start this conversation with getting an insight into like what is the ideal in our relationship with women in our life? What's the goal here? And kind of when it's in perfection, when it's in the best state, talk about how we fuck it up, and then go into all the tools that you provide for men. But what's like the goal? What's the gold standard?
It's really simple. It's two people with grounded nervous systems responding to what's unfolding actually in this moment, not responding to what happened to them as a child, not responding to them to the fight that was last week, or yesterday. It's just they're right here, right now, and it's like, oh, I said something that hurt your feelings. Well, oh, let's talk about that. I didn't realize that. I'm so sorry, baby. I think that's the ideal. That's the simplest way that I can describe it.
Being present without history attached to it, and just being in the current moment and dealing with what comes up.
Yeah, with a nervous system that's mostly settled. I think that's the trouble is, we're fighting, but really it's our nervous systems that are fighting, and it's the thing that we're fighting about is usually just a placeholder for the battle that's going on in the nervous systems. Where in many cases we are trying to get the safety in this moment that we didn't get from our parents or from a particular parent. So I'm trying to get something from you, and let's say I've got abandonment wound. I'm trying to put the clamps in you and make you do things so that you won't trigger my abandonment wound. And I'm trying to get from you the safety I really needed to get is from my parents, who are the ones that left me crying in the crib or whatever it was that maybe created that abandonment wound. And so it's often the nervous system's battling over just some token issue that really isn't that important to begin with, but then it blows up, far out of proportion to the actual circumstances.
Yeah. I think that's such a helpful insight in general, just an awareness for people that you're bringing a lot of your stuff to the current moment, and that might be what's causing a lot of complications here.
I've learned this from my teachers. It's deal with the nervous system first. Don't try to win the argument. The argument is incidental. It's not important. What's really important is the hurting nervous system that one or both of you has at that time.
What do you mean? How do you do that?
Oh, let's say that, a man and a woman are fighting over how to do something, and they're both trying to, prove that they're right, and they want to do it their way, and they're accusing the other person of being stubborn or narcissistic or anything like that. Somebody, this is part of what I'm teaching men. I'm teaching the men to zoom out and see, oh my gosh, look at us. Look how silly we are fighting over the dishwasher or whatever it is. And then that man having that realization would say, well, baby, can we just pause for a second? We're going at each other and we're all jacked up. And I think we can better have this conversation. We both just take a rest for 60 seconds. Give me 5 minutes. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to come right back and we're going to talk about this. But let's just put a pause here. So asking for a pause is a way that a guy can zoom out his awareness a little bit bigger than just the fight that he's in. See that they're in a silly fight. And then in my example, ask for a pause. Because what that's going to do is you take your pause, you walk away, nervous system comes down, fight or flight comes down, and then you have a little bit more rationality. You're like, oh my God, why am I fighting so hard for how we load the freaking dishwasher?
Yeah.
So that's what it means of dealing with the nervous system first, because you're never going to, if you just keep trying to win the fight, it's just never going to go anywhere.
Okay. One of the things that my parents have said to me, an agreement they have in their relationship is we don't continue when we're triggered. We always step away.
That's a beautiful policy. Most people don't have that.
Yeah.
And they would benefit from having something like that.
Man, that seems to be like a really just useful rule in general. And from what you're saying, like the arguments you're having, it's not about solving the issue. It's about solving the nervous system, or like regulating the nervous system, getting back to a place of like calm, not threatened, so that then we can kind of like parse out more just surface level what it is, instead of like attacking you.
Exactly, because when your nervous system's jacked, it's just shooting steroids into the moment. Everything just seems so much bigger than it actually really is. I mean, how many times have you had that fight and then later you're just like, oh my God, how did I don't understand how it got this way, and why was I so reactive? I keep telling myself not to do that. So when, like I said, when the nervous system's jacked, it's just putting steroids into the moment, and then everything feels way out of proportion to what's actually happening in the here and now. And that goes back to what I said earlier. Two people just being actually here with what is here. And usually what's here is not that scary.
Yeah. Is that a lot of the work that you do with men, is teaching them to find a state of regulation, practice regulation, so that they can stay grounded?
Yeah, well, that's the first part of it. I think this might be a good time to mention the masculine blueprint, which is the framework that you know from the book, because it answers your question. So I set out, when I wrote this book, I set out to create, I'll call it a modern model of masculinity. There's a lot of guys are wondering, what does it mean to be masculine? And there's so much shit being flung, that all masculinity is toxic, which of course is ridiculous. But people who are in pain kind of want to see the world that way, it seems like. And then there's this sort of the nice guy sort of version of things, where you just go and be a good man, and that's how to be in your masculine, which of course is also ridiculous. I wanted to create something that still had men in their power, but worked in a modern world. So I created the masculine blueprint, and my contention is this: if you embody these three elements of the blueprint, you will be living more from your masculine core. So for any guy out there asking, like, man, how do I be more masculine? Well, this is the answer. At least this is my answer for that question. Three elements: respond versus react, provide structure, create safety. And to answer your question, provide, boy, I'm blanking for a second there. Respond versus react. There you go. Please edit that out. Respond versus react is a lot about getting the nervous system grounded. I mean, there's other elements to it, but it's mostly about getting the nervous system grounded. So anybody that's heard me talk knows I talk a lot about embodiment practice. And this is what I say. I'm like, guys, this is the number one thing you can do to really get started on this process of living more in your masculine core. And so it is the foundation. To answer your question, is this a big part of what I teach? Yeah, it's the foundational piece. If you're not grounded, usually none of the other stuff you can remember in the heat of the moment anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm teaching men to do daily embodiment practices that are part of a process of grounding your nervous system, giving you a little bit more rest internally, a little bit more stillness, a little more spaciousness, so that you can live moment to moment more choicefully. Like when you're grounded and you're a little bit have inner spaciousness inside, then you can start to choose how you want to be. You can witness yourself, how you're being, and then you can choose how you want to be moment to moment to moment. So your wife says something cutting, you can either blow up at her, or you can pause for a second, see that she's hurting over something, know that she doesn't mean it, and then choose how to respond to her from there.
Yeah.
So that's what it's really all about. So it's foundational, Braxton, to any of the other work that we do. I'll pause there for a second, but we can talk about the second two elements of the blueprint too.
One of the things that I really like to understand here is that sense of groundedness and presence and awareness. Sometimes I hear it described as the essence of healthy masculinity. Other times I just feel like it's like a maturity in general to be able to express that. I really would love to hear more about your perspective on, within a relationship where a masculine identified person is really embodying their masculinity within the context of groundedness and spaciousness and awareness and presence. And maybe a feminine identified person is really embodying their femininity, which may be more of kind of that life radiance and spontaneity, and at times maybe even some of those criticisms and reactions. Is it not? What is it about the feminine that doesn't have that necessarily quality to it, that tends to be a little bit more reactive?
Ask me that question again, Braxton. I didn't quite get it.
Yeah. So this quality of grounded responsiveness instead of reaction, is it specifically attributed to the masculinity within a relationship, and the femininity doesn't have that quality?
Yeah, let's to answer that question, let's remind ourselves that we're not never talking about man, woman. We're talking about
Of course.
masculine, feminine, and so women have a certain percentage of them of masculine energy too. So everything I say can't apply to women, just less so. Typically in the typical ratio within any particular person. Um, so yeah, so within the context that we're talking about the energies or the
Yeah.
archetypes, not the person. Yeah, the masculine is characterized by a stillness and a choicefulness and presence to be able to zoom out, as I mentioned earlier, zoom out and kind of see what's happening in the moment. Whereas the feminine energy is about out, as you said, radiance. You know, just think of that word; it radiates out. Whereas we're about somewhat containment, not suppression, but containment and stillness. They are radiating out. And so, yes, at the energetic archetypal level, what you said is true.
Mm.
The feminine is about radiating out with energy and flow and movement and light and color, whereas we are about the groundedness, the stillness, the choicefulness, the awareness of what's happening. The feminine is in this moment, and they can dance with abandon, you know, with no care in the world, at that archetypal level. Whereas us, we can't afford just to kind of get lost in the moment. Archetypally, we have to be aware of everything, and so archetypally, that's the quality that each energy exudes. Is that making sense?
It does make some sense, and it starts to make me think about like you know, almost from like a chemistry perspective. Like when you're like conducting an experiment, you watch things react to each other, and then you pay
Mm,
attention to them. So in some way,
mhm,
maybe the feminine is kind of this like, you know, this energy that expresses itself in reaction to whatever else is currently present in the moment. And then kind of our role is to watch it and say, okay, where could this go? What would be best for this situation? Kind of
mhm. Yeah, at the again at that archetypal energetic level, the masculine. Um, I'll start with the feminine. The feminine is reactive. I like how you put that. It's reactive to what's happening in the moment. We are in some ways islands unto ourself, and there the feminine's way of being is often a reaction to our way of being. That's one of the most powerful things men need to realize, because what that
thing.
says is you can evoke a state in her simply through your own way of being. So if you're living the blueprint, you're probably going to evoke a state of softness or playfulness, of joy, of sexual openness. You know, some of those qualities, you're probably going to evoke that when you're living the blueprint. When
Mm.
you're being either a selfish asshole or an unconscious asshole, or mean or not connected or not feeling or stony, you know, any of these things, you're probably going to evoke something very different in her, and it's probably not going to be something you enjoy. So
Mm.
it's beautiful. You don't have to wait for her to change. You can actually evoke change in your woman through your own way of being. It's one of the most potent powers that men have.
Hmm. That is something that's really interesting to me, man. The like you see your partner and she's feeling maybe unresponsive to you, kind of closed down,
Hmm.
not engaging with you, not being playful
Hmm.
with you, not being open sexually, seemingly disinterested, disengaged. And
Yeah.
it's such a, I think it's such a, one of the most powerful things that you teach, man, is that like, you know, the power lies within you. You have the ability to affect the way that she's showing up right now by the energy you're presenting into the room. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I want guys to realize that sometimes I hear this a lot.
Yep.
Men, they hear my work, and you know, I've seen a lot of guys like it, but some will say like, why do I have to do all the work? Why do I have to be make the first move? Why do I have to be the one to initiate repair? And it's this principle, you know, specifically because they see it like a burden, this principle that her way of being is a reaction to ours. And I like to see it as a superpower. You don't have to wait anymore. You can consciously evoke rather than trying to convince her to be different, which never works generally. When the feminine is in their full feminine, asking them or convincing them to be a different way usually doesn't go very well.
That seems
So
that
it's a superpower.
that's something that I think a lot of guys fall prey to, is like trying to get uh, persuasive. Like, let me explain to you how you're how we could do this differently.
Yeah.
Do men do that? Is that a common trait for men sometimes, is trying to get more heady with it and try to like talk it through and like argument it out instead of trying to just go, what, how am I showing up energetically in this space and in a way that's creating this, and how can I just change that?
Yeah, overwhelmingly exhibited by men. I mean,
Really?
that's our thing. That's our jam. We intellectualize, because intellectualizing feels a lot safer than feeling what is underneath. You know, if she's upset, let's just say you I don't know, you do something around the house, like you try to fix the back door and it gets all effed up. You know, and she kind of throws a barb at you. Like, you don't want to feel the shame that you weren't very competent at fixing the whatever it was you fixed. You know, you're going to say, you probably feel some embarrassment or some shame. You, as a guy, you don't want to feel that. And so you're going to intellectualize. Well, I did it exactly how the instructions told me to do it. You know, you start to intellectualize and explain, when in reality, I mean, the truth is she's not feeling safe with your ability to fix stuff. No guy wants to hear that. So you're going to get defensive. You're going to try to make the feeling stop and keep that feeling at bay by just kind of going wah, 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 from the head. And so that's actually a lot of what's going on is, guys, there's things that guys don't want to feel in yourself and also in her. You know, an alternate way to handle that, she throws the barb at you. Yeah, that's not cool. And you're going to need to put a boundary on that. But at the same time, kind of empathize that she's not feeling safe right now. I mean, whether you like it, her barb or not, the truth is she's not feeling safe right now. And so it'd be better to address that. And you just might say, I get it, babe. You're upset and you're probably not trusting me right now to fix things. Is that true? And she'd be like, uh-huh. And you say, yeah, okay, I get that.
Can you,
because you're not hurt by it. You're not thrown off by her little moody barbs. I'm not saying that to give permission for anyone to abuse anybody else verbally, but I am saying you're not going to get thrown off by the barbs. And then if you empathize with why she's acting like that, actually, I found in almost all cases, it makes the fight go away way faster.
So
way faster.
Just to make sure I'm holding on to this right, when maybe there's kind of like a, you know, not like a not an arrow that's thrown across the room, but just like, you piece of shit, you're not worth anything. You've always been like your father. Like,
yeah, that's abuse. That's abuse.
Yeah.
Let's just be clear. That's abuse.
Yeah, but if it's like, you know, she makes a comment that kind of makes you feel like you're not really super capable of doing what you're doing, obviously, looks like you're not. What's the frame that we hold up over that to say, let me give this some space and let me interpret what she's saying? What's the frame there?
Well, I mean, if your woman who is otherwise good to you, in a moment kind of throws a little edgy barb at you, the frame is, what's going on for her? Why is she, so obviously this is touching some nerve in her that's deeper than just the thing that got poorly fixed. Get curious about that. Or if you know, just name it. That's what I said before, is just name it. It's like, sounds like you are not trusting me to fix stuff right now. And she's going to be like, uh-huh. And be like, yeah, I get that. And then you don't get thrown off, and it's like, all right, well, let's get this thing fixed. But just that little bit of empathy and acknowledgement of her pain that you give her is the thing that she's dying for. And when she doesn't get it, that's when the fight goes on for like an hour, or the cold shoulder goes on for like 2 days. And I'm telling you, there's nothing less masculine than fighting with your woman.
Because you're just missing the point.
you're just flailing around fighting her over stupid shit.
Yeah. 100%.
So instead of, guys are like, oh, you're being a simp. I'm like, okay, well, you go ahead and keep convincing your woman that you were right and keep fighting for 3 days and let her get a cold shoulder. I'm going to acknowledge her pain and get on, and we're going to be fucking later tonight, but you won't.
Yeah.
You know, which one of us is more masculine now? And so I don't know. This is a common debate that rages in men's work.
Okay. I want to make sure I catch this. This sounds pretty dope. So, you know, a barb is thrown, a comment is made that makes you feel a little less capable than you, and you're having your self-image.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like the move there is just to hear it, see if you could align yourself with it, see if it's true. Like, see if, yeah, I'm not really, not really doing the best on this trip planning situation, am I? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And in some way, I think it hints at the like parameter of, or a paradigm of like, she functions as your notification system in a way of how you're doing. And so, you know, this is good. Like, I've got someone who, even when I'm fucking it up, she lets me know I'm fucking it up, which is things are working in order here. So I accept it. I kind of align with it. I don't like, you know, collapse underneath the criticism per se, but I just go like, yeah, you're right. Maybe bring a little bit of humor to it, and then it's dissolved and we move on.
Yeah, I mean, I like how you put it. You're just owning the part that's true. Now, she may try to lump 5 other things in there and throw it at you. Wade through that. There's probably some part that's true. Own what's true. It's one of the fastest ways to take the energy out of a fight and move on back to being close, is just acknowledge what's true. So it might be even just this little tiny part. Acknowledge that. Things will calm down much faster when you acknowledge that. And I like what you said about notification system. That is part of the feminine role, to reflect back to us when we're not in our fullness, when we're not in our integrity, or we're not in our power and leadership. That's their job, is to reflect that back to us. Hopefully you have a good woman who can do that to you and sharpen you up as a man. Or you could be one of those guys that never wants to be criticized ever, and you get a very docile woman that won't ever criticize you. But that's not going to be very fun.
How do you coach men to relax the ego a bit and get into a state where you say, like, you know, I chose a woman that I felt like I can trust to reflect back to me where I could be better. And so when she does that, which is her kind of the role in this relationship, how can I relax a bit and not take it personally?
Yeah. Well, one is you ground your nervous system through daily practice over years, you know, daily embodiment practice. I know I've already made that point, but that's answer number 1. And then 2 is plays on the word trust that you just used. I know that when I trust the deeper love between my partner and I, when I know that she's got my back, even in the moment which seems like she's being a ridiculous raging bitch, and my mind tells me she's doing it on purpose, which she's not. That's a powerful thing. So for me, it's a practice of trusting my woman more, so that when she gets a little cranky and edgy with me, which happens occasionally, I know that the deeper love is there. I never lose sight of that. The connection, I never lose sight of the fact that she's got my back. So it's trusting. It's a deeper knowing and trust in my woman that this moment may not feel very good, but underneath that, there's a massive reservoir of love, connection, devotion, dedication to me from her. And I know that. So I try not to lose touch with that. It's kind of a mantra I tell myself. I'm trusting the deeper love between the two of us. So that when you take those 2 things, if you have both of those well cultivated, you're going to be pretty robust when things flare up. And that's the secret. That's the secret.
Really having the daily embodiment practice, which is so upstream from all this. So it's so helpful. It's the foundation for it. And then also in the moment, really trusting it. To bring it back to, go for it, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just nodding and agreeing with you. I think you heard me well.
To bring it back to like your initial answer to my first question, which is like, what's the ideal here? That's like the 2 nervous systems that are grounded and present. That brings you back to that point. Yeah. And then
we can add the trusting element. Two nervous systems that are grounded, 2 people that are trusting the deeper love and commitment and devotion between the 2 of you, which hopefully gets manifested in many, 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 many moments in the relationship, trusting that in the moment, even when things kind of get off the rails a little bit.
Can we talk a little bit about emotions?
Yeah. What specifically would you ask?
I think men struggle to know what emotions to cue your partner in on versus what emotions to work on yourself. kind of the
Yeah, as a guy, you're talking about. Yeah, totally.
let's rock it, man.
Yeah, I think some people identify stoicism with masculinity, and stoicism. I'm not an expert in stoicism, but the way that most people see it is, it's just like you kind of stony and nothing affects you. And oh my God, please don't be like that, because your woman's gonna die on the vine if she can't ever feel you. So what I say is, look, men can and should feel their emotions just as deeply as women. The difference is in what you do with those. How do you process those? We often go internal and solve them by themselves and kind of contain it in or suppress it so we never feel it at all. Whereas they're outward, they're radiating them outward, they're putting them in the space. They have to put them in the space and process them with others. That's how they're built. They have to do that. And it's good for men to notice that, or to know that rather. But we want to feel deeply and not suppress. Feel deeply, share judiciously.
What do you mean?
And so that doesn't mean just like throwing it out there all directions with, willy-nilly, which is kind of how the pure feminine would do that. Again, just talking about the energies and the archetypes. So as a man, you have to learn to feel deeply and contain, hold it. And contain is not suppression, but it's more of a holding of it. And then be choiceful about what you share and bear the rest. And I have a few things I like to say. It's like, sometimes the masculine burden is to suffer in silence. And what I mean by that is all your emotions and all your, fears and complaints, and they do not belong out there. You have to bear some of those. But you have the discretion within inside of you. There's times where you need to share, either to be a good emotional partner or in the context of setting boundaries where things aren't okay. And that's where you need to share. So I say, feel deeply, share judiciously, and bear what you need to bear and share what you need to share. Those are some of the things I always say. In that context, I'll just add one thing. You got to bring some of this stuff to your bros. If you're dumping all your emotional experience on your woman, it's not going to go well for polarity. So sometimes you just need your bros to hear you rant.
Yeah.
And even rant, in your full helplessness.
Yeah.
And whine and bitch and moan and all of these things. Bring that to your bros.
So helpful. Like, I need to, so helpful. And I appreciate the kind of tap on polarity there about how that can shift the dynamic. Is there a way that you can draw somewhat of a line down how we can categorize what emotions are shared, which emotions are bared?
If you're whining because it doesn't seem fair, or you're all butthurt, if you're kind of dumping it on her so that she does something so that you feel better, that's the kind of stuff you keep to yourself, kind of stuff. Yeah. But but there's a core of like let's imagine that there's an example of a couple that goes to a dinner party. Maybe he's like not had the most stellar career. It's not bad, but it's just not stellar. And she kind of makes a crack about it in front of everybody. Yeah. It's the part of that there's going to be a lot of hurt and whining and that's going to be inside of you. But the part that you want to bring to her is, sweetie, I need to tell you something. That crack you made in front of other people about my career did not feel good. That was very hurtful. And I lost trust in you when you did that, because I expect you to have my back. I feel very hurt, and I'm not trusting you.
Is it kind
That's
of
what
like
you bring to her?
Is it kind of like the deep sense of inadequacy that you have struggled with your entire life? That's yours. The fact that when she made a comment about your career, it hurt you, and it triggered that, or like maybe if it's an abandonment wound or whatever it is, it's kind of like your thorn in your side from the trauma in your childhood you haven't dealt with, or whatever it is. Like the chronic issue is yours, bro. But the acute one where she kind of said something to hurt your feelings, you can share it and just kind of like share what's above the surface a bit instead of like asking
Yeah.
her to go down there with you and solve all this stuff.
Yeah. 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 Share what's above the surface. And so there's the sharing and what you share. There's also, I've not talked about this specifically, so I have to figure out how to phrase it, but
Yeah.
there's also the energy with which you share. If you come to her with a why are you being like this? And a helpless energy, like just, I can imagine I think all our listeners here can imagine like a time where they were sharing, but they felt really helpless and kind of whiny.
Yeah.
So it's that energy with which you share is also important too. Like bring the ranty, whiny energy to your bros, but when you come to her, I'm not saying be clinical and robotic, but I'm saying you're going to be a little more composed and have gotten that helpless energy out. Like I'm a victim of your barbs and your jokes and all those things. That's just your helpless little boy. But you got to get that out of your system before you come to her. And then you come to her with, this was hurtful and it's not okay with me. Like that's where you come to her. And you can still feel that. You can feel the anger. You can feel the hurt while you're speaking it. And when you do, she's going to feel your expression more. So I'm not saying go, again, like a robot, but feel those things. But it's not the helplessness and the whiny and the victim energies that are often in there. You got to work through those first.
One of the questions that my therapist has asked me quite a few times in different emotional states is, how old do you feel right now?
Yeah, exactly.
That might be a good one in the middle of your conversation. You can only share when you feel your age.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a technique I use as well. And just I have the guys express from different ages, and they do sound different.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, tell me like you're 8, or tell me like or tell me like you're 38.
Exactly, because when you're young, that's where the helplessness is born.
Yeah.
You know, because you are helpless. They have all the power over you. Problem is when you bring that feeling of helplessness into an adult body, it's not very masculine, because you are not helpless. You're in 99% of the cases in the world, you're not helpless. You have choice. You have power. Got to find it.
How does that? Okay, so one specific question would be like, how does that work in long-term partnership where you have two people that are married together and one person is expressing their needs, the other person doesn't seem to be meeting them, and they generally feel helpless because they feel like they can't get their needs met because the person they've decided to partner up with won't meet them.
Well, you always have choice. I mean, some people just get resentful and silent about it, and just like, well, I guess I'm not going to get my needs met. But you've got to be transparent and speak what's really true for you. And it's like, honey, I've been asking for you to share more of yourself and your emotional experience, and I still continue to get this like fine answer from you. I ask you how your day was, and all you can share is fine. I share my pain, and you give me some robotic experience, and I've talked to you about this. I find myself losing attraction. Like I'm channeling the woman here. I don't feel like I want to be sexual with you right now, and I really don't even want to spend time with you. I'm noticing that. I don't like that about myself, but it is what's happening. So when you're speaking your needs and they're not getting met, you start to shut down. You need to narrate that for the other person and share that with the other person. Hopefully the guy wakes up at some point. Most don't, unfortunately.
One of the things that you talked about in your book that I'm interested to hear more about, man, is expressing your anger in your relationship, and that you can express your anger, and I wrote this down, you can express your anger in a way that opens her and connects her, or causes her to comply and close. What's the difference, and how can we find it?
Yeah. It's let's go back to that joke, and I'm just gonna, I'm a guy that's really angry, and this is the version of anger that's just like, don't talk to me like that. Don't you ever do that again. Fuck. Like it's just,
yeah.
And it's not that he's not justified in saying in not wanting her to talk to him like that. It's not the expression. It's the anger. Sorry, it's the energy with which he does it. It's just like this. And what he's doing is demanding compliance. Now we're in tricky territory, so I really want you I want us to take this slow. I'm not saying that don't have your anger. I'm not saying don't demand compliance in certain things. But you can do it in a more connected way. And what I'm saying is you can still set up the boundaries, but you can do it in a more connected way. So that was the first one where I'm just blasting energy at this other person, really to make myself not feel the hurt of what I'm feeling. It's just a way to cover up the hurt and not feel it by just blasting somebody else. The other way to do that is, you metabolize your anger enough, but you can bring it in a way that is connected and interactive. And it's like, honey, I need to tell you something. That thing that you said pissed me off. I felt enraged when you said that. I expect you to have my back. That is a non-negotiable for me. No. Just pause for a second. I need you to feel that, honey. It's non-negotiable. I need to feel you have my back. That was not cool. And you either see that or you don't. But I'm telling you, this is important. Okay? Going forward, we have each other's backs. You notice how I'm making it mutual? I'm not just saying you need to have my back. I'm just saying we have each other's backs. This is important for trust between us. Does this make sense, honey? Now, just notice, I'm not demanding compliance as the main part of the expression. I'm sharing impact of how it enraged me. And then I'm sharing my boundary. Like, this is a non-negotiable for me. I need you to have my back, which is different than don't ever talk to me like that. Like, you could just feel the difference. One is just, it's the way that your father, who was born in 1945, kind of deals with you, because that's all he ever knew, just to kind of pummel you, either verbally, energetically, or physically. This is different. I don't know. I'll pause there for a second, Braxton. Are you seeing the difference in what I'm describing?
Yeah, 100%, man. And I think I love that it sheds light on anger exists in different expressions. It's not about the lack of anger. It's about the way it's being expressed, because you can just kind of unconsciously spill it out everywhere and make other people deal with it instead of their new boundaries and their new rules around you, so that they don't cause that reaction again.
Yep.
Or you can own it, feel the anger, and express it. Like, there's a depth to the way you express it too. The anger's there because it's like, I like the definition of anger. It's just the emotion that tells you a boundary's been crossed. This is not okay. This is not cool.
Exactly. Yep.
And so,
and there's no simping about an expression like that. Like, a lot of guys, some of the guys who are at the extreme edges of men's work are like, that's bullshit. You're being a beta. You just fucking tell her what to do. Like, okay, good luck with that relationship where you just tell her what to do. You can still be powerful. I mean, I think you felt that in my expression, that you can still be powerful, but you don't have to, you're not pummeling everybody over the head. And again, it's no different than the debate of like how you raise children. Some people are like, I was raised to just, rule by fear and tell them what to do, and they're kids and they comply. Well, those kids grow up to be rebellious teenagers that go out and smoke a lot of pot and do other crazy shit because they're rebelling against the repressive nature of your anger. There's more connected ways to do it that yield way better results.
Too, bro, like two things out of mind. Like, when something's really strong, you don't feel like you have to like exaggerate it. So this is a real thing for me. This is like this is a no for me. This is not okay with me. I'm not asking for your participation in that. I'm not asking that you like validate that or confirm that or make me feel that that's okay. Like, nothing's up in the air here. I know how I feel about this, and I need to communicate that to you in partnership that this is not cool. The thing that comes to mind is the movie The Wizard of Oz. Like, no one sees the wizard, blah, and there's like, it's nothing behind it. So like, anytime you want to be like that, just remember, you got a weak boundary, man. You don't have, like, if it's strong, there's no need to.
I sometimes find that some of the men that are like the hardest are actually the weakest underneath. Because of what you said, they're covering up. And I've seen it in a number of clients who I was like, wow, this guy's really, and it just turns out he's really hurting underneath.
Yeah, too, and it's like also if you really like part of that is misdirected at them because you don't have the ability to walk away from mistreatment, and so you're blaming them for treating you that way.
Mm. Oh yeah, we shit our own childhood on other people.
Yeah, 100%. One of the things that we were talking about earlier that I want to bring it back to is in conversation with your partner when you share a truth, bearing the discomfort. Can you talk a little bit about why it's very important in those moments to, if you feel that me sharing this with you causes me to be a little bit afraid that maybe you might leave because that won't be okay with you or something, not beginning to overshare or over explain or try to doctor it up, but let it sit, and why that's really, really healthy in our communication with our partner.
Yeah, it's if you let's just use your example of sharing something that you're scared to because you think that it might make them leave. If you just go on and on about your fear, if 90% of the expression is more about your fear at sharing the thing, she feels your insecurity, she feels your weakness. Whereas if you just name it and just let that be enough. Yeah, I've been wanting to tell you something, but I've been a little afraid that it would set you off. Maybe even like mortally for our relationship, but here it is. So what I want to share is that da 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 da. So it's like the more you go on and on about it, the more that you put it onto her shoulders, the less manly the vulnerability feels. I guess what I'm saying. Like, we all know that women want us to be more vulnerable. Like, if you don't know that as a guy, then you probably need to know that. But if you there's like a tipping point, you start to fall over the other side where it's just too much, and you're whining and you're playing the victim and you're going on and on about your fears. So yeah, lean into the vulnerability, but find that tipping point and don't go over the edge of too much oversharing of your fear. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, I want to be honest about my disclosure. I like that. I like when John Wyman talks about reveal the truth. Like, I'm just revealing to you what's true for me. Mm-hmm. But don't get into a place where you're trying to help me and persuade through kind of emotional spillage that, I'm not going to be okay if this doesn't work. Or
that's it right there. I'm not going to be okay if you don't act a certain way. Yeah. She wants to know you'll be okay no matter what. Like, you're that much of a rock. Again, we're not talking about abuse. That's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, when she speaks her truth, she needs to know you can handle it.
Yeah. What are the mistakes that we make I'm thinking about on our side, like as a man, I'm telling my partner something that I need, a boundary that I need, and I'm owning it and personally metabolizing the fear of maybe that person's not okay with that. That's what we just talked about. But on the other end, like you just mentioned, sometimes she's sharing with you things, and our ability to sit with and feel that is huge. What are the mistakes that a lot of men make when they do get that feedback, criticism from their partner? What do we tend to do that we just miss the mark?
Well, we just tend to get defensive. It's really, we go mental. If I could actually generalize it more, we go mental with it. Again, as I said before, because there's something we're not wanting to feel, so we need to invalidate her expression really quickly, and so that's where the defensiveness comes in. We try to talk her out of feeling the way that she feels. And so that's defensiveness right there. Is you're trying to kind of talk somebody out, trying to convince them with new knowledge, like, oh, she didn't understand this part, so I'll explain it to her, and then she'll stop being mad. And it just never works. She can't, when she's in an emotional state, she really can't take in information. You have to understand that. You could say the most eloquent, accurate thing that totally explains your behavior. It's like she can't hear you. Because in that moment of her emotional elevation, I'll call it, She can't take in information. So please, men, quit trying to shove information down her throat. It's closed. There's a force field up until her nervous system comes down, and then that force field goes away. So I often say that this is a sequencing problem. It's not in the absolute. It's just that you need to hold on to the information a little bit longer and let the emotional phase of the conversation play out. And you have to join her in that. And then when you're done, then you can give new information.
Is it like a situation? Yeah, like definitely. Is it a situation where, like, do you encourage men to explain what had happened? Like, she says, it really hurt me when you did this. I felt like this. And so you say, oh, babe, I can totally understand that. I get that whenever I said that, it probably made you feel like I wasn't considering you. I didn't care about you or something. Like, I'm really sorry. I never want to make you feel that way. I love you so much. And thanks for telling me, at any point, are you like, but what happened was my flight was late and that's the reason, because then you tell her, or do you just let it go?
No, well, it depends, but lots of cases where you need to hold on to the informational phase until the nervous system comes down, and then you can share. Is that, it's sequencing. It's not that you just pretend the facts don't exist, but just wait till she can actually take them in. I have an example where my youngest son had won some award. It's been a while, so I have to remember, but he had won some award, and so he was going to get it at school. And then somebody sent me a video of that, assembly at his school. And so I showed it to her. I'm like, hey, here's Addison getting that award. And she's like, what award? And then she proceeded to get a little upset with me because she wants to be included in my family. She's not the mother of my children, but she wants to be included fully. And anytime if I don't do that, then it touches a nerve in her. And she's like, you didn't tell me he won an award. And I was like, I kind of think I did. I was about 90% sure I had told her, but not 100%. So I wasn't entirely sure. So I could have just gone into, I told you that. I know I told you that. Well, let's go look at the text. Let's look at it right. Go to the factual. What's going on for her? She's just feeling a little hurt because she's feeling left out. It doesn't matter if it's tied to facts or not in that moment. I always tell men, quit trying to reconcile her emotions to facts. Like they don't fit together like Legos. They just don't. So quit trying to do that. So I was like, instead of trying to argue the facts, I was wise enough to be like, oh, sweetie, I know that it hurts you when I leave you out. I totally get that.
Man, what a slam dunk, bro. Like, what a slam dunk. Yeah. I'm almost sure I told you, but I can just see you're hurting. And it's just reminded me that regardless if I did or didn't, this is something that hurts your feelings. And I love you. And I hate that makes you feel that way. And you're right. I'm always going to be more conscious of that.
Totally. You're good. You're good at this, Braxton. You got this down. And then going back to
I read a great book. It's called The Masculine Relationship by GS Youngblood.
But let's bring it back to the I told you that it was a sequencing problem. Yeah. And then so she calmed down. And then about 5 minutes later, I did go to my phone and I looked it up and I said, sweetie, I did tell you, but I did it later. When she was totally open, she's like, oh, yeah, you're right. You did. And then she totally yielded. Whereas if I had said it earlier when she was in her emotional state, we would have been arguing for 10 minutes over nothing. And that is something I prefer not to do, is argue over nothing.
100%. It seems like a really important skill to have, to just hold the facts. By the way, what time you got to bounce, man? I know it's 11 a.m. right now.
I got a few more minutes.
Okay, cool. Maybe we'll cut at 11:15.
That sounds great.
Cool. Just like practice maybe for the guys listening. The next time something comes up, and for a fact that shit ain't true. Like whatever she said, that ain't true. Just see if you can, decide, I'm the person who's here to take care of your heart. I'm the person here to make sure that you feel loved. I'm the person here to make sure that you feel felt. And just go for it. And then, like you said, see, I like the sequencing thing because that's something that I think I've missed. I think I've leaned a little bit too much on the side of like, fuck the facts, facts out the window. Let's just, be present and see the expression of pain and just be with and soothe and love. And then, let her find that shit later when she goes back through our text messages and sees that I did say that. And
Yeah.
I'll just be, she'll owe me one, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Be mindful.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Go for it, man. Absolutely. Please.
Yeah, I think when guys see it as more of a sequencing rather than throw out the facts, it's easier for them to metabolize this. It's hard for us guys. We're factual beings, so it's very, very hard for us to be like, I'm just going to ignore the facts and live in her la la land. Guys will resist that. If we say instead, hey, it's just a sequencing problem. You'll get your chance. Don't worry. You will get your chance to present your evidence.
Yeah.
Just pause for a second. And so guys tend to find that more metabolizable than, just live in a world without facts.
Yeah, 100%. I think David Data says in his book, The Way of the Superior Man, that just always interpret her pain, sharpness, closure as just needing love.
Yeah, needing your leadership, needing your love, needing your protection, needing your love.
One of the things that two things. When she does say stuff to you, one term you use is collapse. You don't want to collapse. What do you mean by that?
Collapse is like, fine, you never fucking listen to me anyway. It's always about you. I can't do anything right in your eyes. I don't know if you saw me, but I totally slumped down when I did that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because it is fine. It's just this giving up and playing the victim and not empowered at all, not sexy at all. I guarantee that.
Yeah. It's interesting that you don't want to get your mommy needs met through your girl, man. It's not a good idea. Get your mommy needs met through your friends and your therapy.
Yeah.
That when you feel that age drop, you collapse to 8 years old, bro. Get out. Get out, bro. Shit your pants. Find a reason to leave. Do something. You got to get out of there, bro.
Yeah. Go call your buddy and whine like a little bitch to him for a while and then come back more grounded and adult.
Yeah. So kind of back to the line between what you share, what you don't. One of the things you mentioned was polarity. This is going to kill polarity. Can you talk a bit more about why being mindful about what emotions we process with our partner, what emotions we process outside, how that contributes to having more sexual openness and more of a stronger sexual currency in our partnership?
Well, man, I think we just said it. It's like when you regret, so here's two adults and then you regress down to 8 years old. What does this make her? What you've already said it, so I'm just setting you up. But
a pedophile, if she's into that. It makes her mommy, yeah.
That's kind of true. Okay, you got me there.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
That's fucked up, bro. Yeah.
Oh man, now your listeners know how twisted you are.
No doubt, dude. They get a quick look in their brain pretty often, unfortunately. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, in addition to pedophile, it does make her mommy. So it's not like she tried to dominate you. You actually put yourself in a supplicant position by acting so young and acting from that young place, and instant polarity killer.
Yeah.
So don't do that. I mean, that's not the deepest thing I've ever said. It's like, duh. When you regress, when you collapse, when you whine, when you play the victim, you are putting yourself down here. You are guaranteed to lose her respect in that moment. You are guaranteed that she's going to get more mad at you. She fucking hates being your mommy. She's going to get more angry at you, and she's going to double down. She's going to poke you till you stand up like a man. That's nothing. There's nothing good in that situation.
What is it in our partner that has that wisdom or proclivity to poke you till you stand up as a man? They kind of piss you off until you become great. Because
the feminine in her, just again, archetypes and energies, needs the masculine. We cannot exist on our own. We need union. We need yin and yang. So the feminine energy, the pure feminine energy in her needs her masculine man to anchor into. So it's like having to pee or having to eat. It's a primal urge that drives her forward. So it's not something mental. It is primal as much as eating. It's
I need you to
it's
get up
as
with this.
important on Maslow's hierarchy.
Yeah.
So just know this: she needs to be loved and led and protected. And when she's not, she's going to get cranky. She's going to get very dysfunctional in all the ways that us men who are in relationship know. So again, here's my deepest wisdom: don't do that. Don't regress. Don't do that. That's your title for this podcast, called "Don't Do That."
So
Yeah.
you said she needs, and then you gave a couple things, like the feminine needs what? She needs to be loved, seen, or what was it?
Oh, to be loved and led and protected and contained, all these things.
What is the masculine need?
You mean, what is the masculine need from the feminine? To be nurtured, to be enlivened. I think those are two big things that the masculine needs from the feminine.
Like a refreshment of sorts.
What do you mean by refreshment?
Like when I think about being nurtured, the difference between mommy nurture and like more of an equal partner nurture feels more like a cold rag, good sex.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Kisses,
Yeah.
cold drink. If
Yeah.
you're out working in the yard, cold lemonade or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I cool. I like the alliteration.
Nah, shoot it down, bro. What are you thinking?
I'm like, what's the difference between equal feminine nurturance and mommy nurturance? I was trying to think, what's the difference between those two? I'm not going to answer it now, but that's something I'm definitely going to ponder.
Yeah,
they are different. I think they are different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mommy's like, you got food on the side of your, like that's mommy nurturance. Equal nurturance is, she makes you a beautiful meal. Like my woman loves to cook, and she cooks for me, and it's like divine. I feel really loved and nurtured.
I look up my partner's Latina, man, and she's like, she makes food that's just like, how do you make it? She make a sandwich sometimes. I'm like, how did you put this together? This is delicious.
Yeah, I mean, it's that old saying, like the path to a man's heart is through his stomach. Totally true. But more generally, if you up level, it's about feeling nurtured and bringing enlivenment to your life. Like if I didn't have my woman, I'd probably just work 14 hours a day.
100%.
Because that would be the impulse, and she pulls me out of that.
Last question. I so appreciate your time today, man. One of the phrases that you use in your book, and I wanted clarification on, is what it means to lead her back to her heart, and in what context we would use that.
Yeah. They don't want to be bitchy. And so just knowing that your woman wants to love you, she doesn't want to be cranky like she is now. And so leading her back to her heart is being bigger than the moment, being bigger than her bitchy behavior in the moment, which is, can sometimes just be intolerable. You're bigger than that, and you can stay grounded, maybe call for a pause, maybe do some ownership of what's true. Two things we've talked about, maybe sequence, what you want to say, and just put a pause on the facts and just really empathize with her. All those things can help bring her back to her heart, because that's where she really wants to be. I want men to know that she really wants to be loving you up right now. But right now, she's jacked. So she's being a bitch.
Could you ask the question, what is it that I do that causes you to feel like you can't be fully present in the moment with me and loving and open?
Yeah, I mean, you can. I wouldn't ask it in the moment.
But I just mean like over dinner when you guys are eating a sandwich together.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say in some ways she wants you to know, because she's probably already told you 10 times. The things she's like, why are you asking me that? I've told you 10 times. I hate it when you take phone calls when we're out on a date. Yeah, I've told you that. Why are you asking me? What did you do that upsets me? You fucking clueless caveman. Like,
okay, yeah. So spend a week trying to figure it out yourself, and then if you can't find no clues, then ask her.
Yeah, I think it's like, I would say men as a practice, start listening to her complaints. Usually when we go defensive, we're not even taking it in. We don't even want to hear it. La, 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 la. So we actually don't remember it.
Yeah. Good point.
Start paying attention to where she's expressing where her needs, and know her. The feminine really deeply needs to be known at a very, very biological level. They need and crave to be known. And so when she tells you the ways that you hurt her, you better start cataloging those and listening. Now, having said that, after you do that, it's sometimes good to engage in conversations. Like, what are the nerves that I sometimes touch in you? Like, I know from my own relationship, one of my woman's biggest triggers is that she feels like her needs don't matter. So if she feels like that she tends to get more wigged out than normal. So I try to really I try to learn that and put some attention on that and notice when I'm doing that. And then if I can catch myself, it goes much better. So I think that's what we're talking about here.
GS, I just want to say thank you. The book, The Masculine Relationship, I have just loved it. I mean, sincerely, I've loved it. And the things you teach, your wisdoms that you share with people have directly helped me in my life. Me and my brother and my dad actually are actively in a group where we discuss the topics that you teach. And
cool.
So thank you for that, man. And thank you so much for your time today, for sharing this with the listeners. If somebody listened to this conversation and they love what you're talking about, they want to know more about you or be able to follow you or engage in your teachings, where should they go?
Well, go to the website, gsyoungblood.com, and you can see the offerings there. And go to Instagram, GS Youngblood MIR, so you can just see lots of videos and things of me talking about various topics. Those are the two best ways. We've got a boot camp. I don't know when you're putting this out, but we've got a boot camp coming up. We've got a couple of slots left. Starts on the 26th. So look that up if you can, if this thing gets published in time for that.
Cool. Awesome, Jess. Thank you, man, for your time today.
All right, Braxton.